defensively?
I think it's besides playing Bud every day, I think playing this defense is probably our biggest challenge schematically. I think there's a reason they're ranked 8th in the country right now. They're playing extremely hard, and they do some problematic things up front and in the back end that you got to have your hands wrapped around. If not, you can be in a world of trouble. They're playing really well right now. You can see Coach Adazio's mentality in this team. They're playing super hard. They're tackling really, really well, and they're playing really, really well, I think, on the defensive side of the ball in particular.
When you come into this the way that you guys have played the last 2 games, what is the biggest focus that you're looking at right now?
Just playing out consistency. The first 2 plays of the game, first 2 plays of the game, positive plays. We put ourselves in a 3rd and medium, a 3rd and inches, run the ball off tackle and have a missed assignment. Then we come back, we're moving the ball, a 2nd and 8, we miss the bubble. We have a 3rd down call that should be an easy completion, should move the change, and then we can finally play action pass and do what we do, and just couldn't get things going. And it's just consistency. There was nine opportunities alone in the first half that I thought could have changed the complexion of the game. And that's where we're at right now, is that our kids have got to understand that every single play matters. Every single play matters. That 3rd down that we had, 3rd and short, could have changed the complexion of the game. The 2nd and 8, when the ball was on the right hash, when we ran the ball and kicked out a bubble and missed the bubble, that could have been a 15-yard gain, changed the complexion of the game. And when we make plays consistently, that's when we're moving the ball. And so it's consistency, 100% consistency.
Is that what changed in that 3rd quarter? I mean, it looked like a different team offensively.
We did. We went some no huddle, and what you saw was we started putting plays back to back to back to back finally, and that was the biggest problem in the first half. We would put 2 plays together and stumble. We'd put 3 plays together and stumble. We put 5 plays together and stumble. And in the second half, we put play after play after play after play together, and unfortunately, the turnover bug came back. So that was disappointing. But the positive about it was that they finally put plays back to back, which was encouraging.
Was Miami doing something to take away anything vertical in that game? It seemed like it was very.
We wanted to establish the run game, because they're a bail cover 3 team, and what we wanted to do is establish the run game, get the safeties in the box, get the corners nosy, and then push the ball down the field. And we never had that opportunity whatsoever in the first half in particular. We were planning on after the first down to go an intermediate shot, and never got to it. We got shut out on the 3rd and 1. So you had to be smart pushing the ball down the field. You had to establish the run game, and you had to get the safeties down in the box and then throw it over their head, and we just didn't get that done in the first half.
How's Brewer's confidence right now? I know the last couple of weeks have been kind of rough.
Yeah, and it's part of our job description. There's times, I said this today, I forget who I spoke to. I said this today. There's many times that the media, the outside world, is praising him, and he didn't play particularly well. And there's times where you take way too much criticism, and that's part of the job description. That's a reason majority of the time these guys that play quarterback are beyond super successful outside in the business world or whatever they choose to do, because they get to be in an environment for 4 years of their life where they're criticized, they're praised, and at the end of the day, none of it matters. You gotta focus on what you can control, and I do think these next couple of weeks are really, really important for him to be able to handle the noise. And handling the noise, you better shut the noise off, because it comes from everywhere. And especially 20 years ago, I never had to deal with 3/4 of all this, but that's today's world. So I think it's really important these next couple of weeks how he handles himself.
This might be dumb, but do you do anything to prepare in case the weather is what they're saying it might be on Saturday?
You know what? Our kids have played in cold weather. The good thing about Michael is that you think of Texas, you think of it's going to be beautiful weather and all that. It gets cold as all get out there. It gets windy. You get 25, 30 mile an hour winds. So from Michael's end, he's already been a part of that. It'd be Isaiah Ford's first time actually going into the cold. But it's a mentality. As soon as you get out there, there's so much going on. There's so much your responsibility. I think they'll be okay.
You recruited Tyler Murphy at Florida, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
What do you see from him, and what do you remember from him there?
I had Tyler only 1 year. I loved him. I thought he was a worker. Had his ups and downs in Gainesville, but was able to find himself in a good situation. He's a great person. He's competitive. He's smart. He has the ability to escape, and he can make a lot of throws. So I'm happy for him. But obviously we're competing now and all that, and 3/4 of the staff I've dear friends of mine, but we won't speak until next week. So,
when you have struggles like this offensively, do you worry about things snowballing over the rest of the season?
You absolutely. There's 1,000 things that go through your mind, but you can't worry about it. You got to go attack the next problem. If you look at us, we started out the season executing decently, then we went into a turnover bug. Then we went into a penalty bug. Now we're in a phase where at times we're not executing consistently. So we're hopefully getting all these growing pains out of our system. And at the end of the day, you got to worry about what you control. You got to try to get better. You got to encourage your kids that at the end of the day we're going to improve. And there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Did you think some of the consistency issues would be solved at this point?
Not with all the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Not with all the youth. You're gonna. It's just like Sam Rogers said last year. He goes, last year I had to think. I was a step slow. This year I can play as fast as I want to play because he's older, he's stronger. He's been. At times, hearing a play for Isaiah Ford and hearing a play for Cam, that might have been their 22nd time hearing that play. And Sam Rogers has heard that play 150 times. So. Obviously, with being more familiar, and whenever your skill guys, the majority of our skill guys right now playing are all young. They're all babies. So you're hoping that we can keep cutting down, so they can play fast and not make the mistakes. But at the end of the day, that's part of it. Whenever you have some youth.
What do you see out of Boston College?
Physical group. Last year they were more, more just pound you and multiple tight ends. They still do that quite a bit, but at the same time they spread you out. They're big and physical up front. They're kind of a running back by committee. Their quarterback's the leading rusher. They're doing a lot of quarterback runs and that type of thing. So very similar probably to teams that we played, scheme-wise is Ohio State, from that standpoint. With a lot of the quarterback decide runs, we have a play running this way but another play coming that way, just trying to split the defense and do those type of things.
How does he compare to some of those running quarterbacks that you've faced before?
He's pretty good right now. He's their leading guy. He kind of makes them go, makes them tick. Each of the last several games, he's had big plays against Clemson, against who we broke down, USC, Wake Forest, NC State. He's kind of their guy. He's their leading rusher, and he makes the offense go.
When you look back at the Miami game and the number of rushing yards that they have, and where do you think the biggest problem lied?
Well, we lost leverage in our gaps, and that was the biggest thing. And they really ran a wide zone, and then Duke Johnson, I'll say this, had a great night. It was he could hit a hole, man. Even if a guy tried to arm tackle, he could run through it. But we kind of hung on blocks, and then a couple times we got reached, and which is. You know, we're a gap control defense. That was the bottom line. You know, when it was all said and done.
Is that where you see some of that size factor come into play, or is that?
Well, I don't think it was size factor as much as it was, you know, flatten out and secure your gap. You know, it's bottom, get off on the ball and flatten out and go. You know, or linebackers getting cut off. You know, we're running a stunt. He's supposed to be in the A gap, and you know he's getting cut by the guard. He shouldn't even be a factor in that type of thing. So it was just a lot of little things. But against a good team, you can't do those little things wrong. They'll expose you.
What do you think about Chase Williams at this point?
You know, I don't know. Chase did a little bit today. I'd say right now we'd use him if it was an emergency, you know, which, you know, we've worked McKinnon at the mic. Is he ready yet? No, but, you know, he could fill in. But, you know, I think Matua Pawaka, you know, will play a little better this week. And he played pretty good. He was one guy that played pretty consistent compared in our front area, you know. So I was, for the most part, pleased, you know, with his performance for the first time. He could be a little bit more vocal and that type of thing, but I was pleased with his performance the other day.
What was he really doing well, do you think, in that game?
Well, he was securing his gap. He made a bunch of plays, you know. He was the one guy that was, you know, did a nice job from that standpoint. So,
does that surprise you that, I guess it sounds like the mistakes maybe were coming from somewhere else other than the redshirt freshman?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it was yeah, I mean, he was, you know, he was playing. He played, you know, he was, you know, his gap. He could have probably gotten downhill a couple of times a little sooner, but for the most part, he was in the right place, and you know, he was involved in a bunch of plays. So, I mean, he did a nice job.
You guys have had a few struggles this year with some mobile quarterbacks. Are you more concerned about this guy this week?
Well, the mobile quarterback. I mean, the only thing that, you know, with a running quarterback. I mean, not the quarterback hasn't hurt us. They've had quarterback design runs, quarterback sweeps, you know, getting your numbers. I mean, those are things I don't care who you are. You're gonna have issues with that. You know, the one play against Pitt, like I said, a guy busted, you know, his deal. They ran it 2 times after that. They were minus yardage plays if you go execute. It's just about execution. But that's what you play 11 on 11 now. You know, when you have that kind of quarterback. So you've got to be accountable for that guy and have an extra guy, but that could expose you someplace else. So, you know, that's what the spread offense does. And, you know, you look across the country. I mean, and see the points that people are putting on the board. We're, you know, against these spread teams, I think we're playing pretty well. You know, but same token, you know, I guess people were used to, you know, us shutting people out. I guess I don't know. You know, but kids are playing well. You know, from that standpoint, for the most part. Last week, we just did. It was, you know, we didn't play very well. You know, not at all. You know, and Miami, that's a big part of it was them, and you know, so you give credit for that where credit's due, and let's move forward, learn from it, move forward.
You guys haven't been 4-4 at this point in the season very often.
No.
What's the mood of this team for something that's kind of unusual?
You know, that's a good question. You know, you got a lot of young guys. You know, you got a lot of young guys that are, you know, in my opinion, playing not to screw up rather than go play fast and make things happen, you know, on all sides, you know, and, but, you know, you can't play that way. You can't play. You got to go play to, you know, be a factor in the game, and we've done that for the most part. But, you know, all of a sudden last week you lose a couple guys like a Chase Williams. It's a big vocal guy, sets our defense. I think there's a might be a, you know, just a level of uncertainty probably for some guys. But don't worry about that. You go play your position and do it well, you know. You know, I think the mood's good. We just got to go play. I think we gave a couple of games away early. Now we got to find a way to go win. I think we've found ways not to win the game the last, you know, a few of these games. So we got to get back to, you know, finding ways to win.